Welcome back, guys. This is going to be the fifth part of our video tutorial series that we're working on KnockoutJS CRUD application. If you have been following, in the last video tutorial, we basically, we are about to write a data provider. So basically now we're going to write some Ajax code to post the data into the backend server, right? So this is where we stopped last time. We will have a object called data provider. Well, the data provider will have a namespace data provider and API. Inside there, we'll have a method called saveDegree. That method would take a URL into which we will be posting our data. And we're going to call just json.stringify for our method. So this one, I will put a data here. And finally, this method also, we need to pass the callback function. They say the callback function going to return data object. Okay, this is the structure of API that we'll have to write. Let's first take care of this one. Here, into this object, we're going to pass our view model. Looks like a degree view model. So we will just care about these two properties here, name and description. So name, how do we obtain name here? We'll have bm.addDegree. bm.addDegree, we have a name property. This is how we obtain our name in Knockout. And for the description right now, I'm just going to pass the empty string. It's not really required field. These are the two properties that we need to pass to the server. And then we to this object, we just make sure we call this method from the JSON object called stringify. And this is the callback function. I'm going to follow the certain convention here. So I'm going to say something like data. If the data object exists and the data has a property called ID, and then there's I can say this method parse int data ID. We can say some parse it and make sure if it is greater than 0. Okay. What this would tell us is basically we'll have a data object coming out from the server, and that object will have, if the object has a property called ID, and that property, the ID value is greater than 0. I mean that the idea is I'm trying to make a kind of convention so that these would be persisted. So idea is like we pass the data to the server. The server would basically persist the data and return the view model. View model will have that ID. If everything is good, if we have this integer value greater than 0, that would tell us that our submit, our post has been successful to the backend. So if this is good, then we can do we can give that message to the user. Remember, like we had that convention. We can say even before I wanna log some information. What the data is. So if the data comes out here, I would be fine, right? That's the first thing we're gonna do. Of course, right now this guy data provider, it doesn't exist. I just imagine, well, not really imagine. I just wrote it. We will have to now write a little JavaScript object having this method called saveDegree. Let's go ahead and add a file here called I'm going to add a new file. I'm going to say this file as a data API. And data provider. I'm going to say a data provider. If that object already exists, go ahead and use it. Otherwise, define this one as an object. Now that object is defined, we're going to say data provider. We're going to create another object called API. So we're going to say, all right, if the data provider API already defined in any other file, use that one, otherwise define it as an empty object. And here, once that is defined, now we can say data provider API. We can say a method save degree. It's going to be a function here. As we already said, this function will have the URL, and it will have some data, and the callback function, something like this. And ideally, what this method going to do, this method basically going to do a post back to the server. So it's going to be something like this. Okay, this is very simple AJAX post, and I'm going to tell you what's really going on here. So this is our method, save degree. It takes a URL as a post parameter, here's the data, and a callback function. And we're here. This is very simple AJAX call. But we are making post. We need to post that name coming out from the text box into the server. So we're going to call AJAX method here. We say type is post, and this is our URL. And these are the data that we are saying, hey, this is going to be come out as an application JSON and data type JSON. If there any error occurs while submission, we have error handler here. Otherwise, we have if everything is good, we have this callback function. The result, we whatever this result is, we're going to pass that result into the callback function provided by the consumer of this method. Okay, that is, well, looks like we have some issue here. Okay, maybe extra curly braces. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. Actually, that closes here. Okay, it should be, if everything is good, we should start testing now. Okay, now let's go into our HTML page here. Why my Visual Studio not responding? Here is my data API. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. Let's see what kind of error we're gonna get. Of course, you guys might have noticed that at this point, let's start our debugger also, that way we know what's really going on. I'm going to type something, let's say something. This is just a testing here, and then, okay. This one is just logged in from here. So it did not, looks like this data, if I do, this is my callback here. I want to see some error here. Oh, okay. That is what I wanted to see. Basically, okay. Sorry guys, I didn't see this error here. This is perfect. This is very good. So basically, this error message saying, hey, you are trying to post. See here, we are trying to post. We are trying to post into this URL, but this URL, it's server from the server side, it's returning 404. Hey, I don't have that URL. This is invalid for not found. Server doesn't know how to respond to it. So let's go ahead and we need to now write this API, okay, in the server side. Okay, looks like it is posting okay into from the client side. Let's go into the server side, into our web API. Here is our web API folder, and here is our degree controller. And this is, we just have one public method here called to get all the degrees. Now we're gonna write new method here, okay? So we're gonna say public. This is gonna return the view model degree view model. I'm gonna say save, and then also takes the degree view model as the input parameter. I'm gonna say view model. Remember, when we deal with the entity framework, we're dealing with the model object, not with the view models. So what we have to do to be able to persist our data, we're going to go into a base here. From the base, we got this DB object, and we are trying to persist the degree informations here, degrees, and basically we can add the degree that comes in. Of course, we have a view model. We have to convert that view model into model. So let's say the properties of the view model. Of course, the name is going to come bm.name. Then the description would be bm.description property. Yeah, those are the only two properties we basically set. We don't. Now that is done, and then then next thing we have to do is, of course, the DB, the save changes, right? We're going to call this API, and that way now this method, this new degree would be added into our backend database. So, but however, we need to return this degree view model. The way So the way instead of this one creating like this, I'm gonna say come out from here. Declare this variable outside of. Oops. Okay. Cut that one. Define degree. Okay, this is how I'm going to define my degree here, okay? This was a view model. From view model, this is going to be our degree model, and then I'm going to pass that degree into the API, the entity framework API to persist that data. And then once that is done, I call the save changes that would actually persist the data into backend database. And before I return, I'm going to return the same view model. However, before I return, I'm going to set the ID of this one to this degree.id, because that one is just persisted, right? No, this is not what I'm going to return. I'm going to set that, and once I set it, now I can return the same view model. This way, this view model now will have the ID property set. So the ID property is basically, the ID that is persisted into backend database. Of course, now if we just leave it like this, it doesn't know. Now we have to say it is of course the post, right? HTTP post here, and then we need to define our route. We are using So we named it, when we call out, we decided to name it like this. So we copy this name from here, and then we just go into the controller, and okay, this is our API. All right. If everything is good, we should be able to now process our data that from the KnockoutJS, basically using the Ajax call. It should be coming here to. So next thing I'm going to do, let's put a breakpoint right here. I'm going to put a breakpoint here. At the same time, I have my my SQL Express open. I'm going to open my let's open the profiler also. Okay. So we can see what happens when we call our API. So okay, our SQL profiler is running. Now I'm going to go ahead and then start the web application. Okay, here let's say testing 1. I always like to open it, work on a developer window. If there is some error right away, we'll catch it. Okay, go ahead, add degree. Oh, okay, it come in here. As you can see, I don't know, for a while it took. Here's our VM, just to make sure. Okay, this is the data that we entered, the testing 1 that is there. Let's do some debugging here. Okay, that is what it looks like. It has been successfully saved this information into the backend database. As you can see right now, the data, this is coming out from the JavaScript. I'll show you here. We are logging this information, the console log data right here, and then this data, right, when it writes, as you can see, it has an ID. Before, of course, the view model didn't have ID before persisting it. Now, once it persisted, it has this ID as a 4. So let's also verify this from the. Here is the insert. As you can see, this is the SQL query generated by the SQL by the entity framework. Okay, let's put it into. This is our Knockout CRUD app database. That's the database that we generated from the entity framework. Let's see. Just paste this one. Just to make sure that everything is working fine, it execute this insert into this degree. Here's the name and description, and these are the 2 values, and the 1 value that we set is the testing 1. Okay, looks like it is working fine. Even though it's working fine here, it's persisting, but user had no idea that what really happened. That is not really good design. So we want to always provide feedback to the user, right? To do that, so what we're going to do that, remember, like, we created a knockout property here, the view model property called successful message. By default, it is set to false. So if this becomes successful, if we come in here, then we can say VM add degree successful message. We want to display that message, and we're going to set that property to true. Okay, this. Okay, if I do that, let me go ahead and refresh this page again. and I think it is working. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of breakpoint from here, so we don't need this breakpoint anymore because our code is working fine. Of course, this is not how we write. Let's say if we have to push this code into test or production, into deployment, we want to make sure we have all the the boundary condition and everything is done. But this is all just for the demo purposes. This is fine. Okay. So now let's say please enter degree. Let's say it's master degree. I'm going to go and add a degree. Awesome. See, so what happened now, as soon as degree is added into backend database, and then now this message right here becomes visible to the user. It is very useful so the user knows the operation that they did became successful, right? It is always good to provide the feedback to the user. So as you saw in the code, it was really simple, just to how to start from the JavaScript, from the Knockout, and saving data using Web API in the SQL Server. Okay, this can be the so this can be the okay. Starting from next week, from the next video tutorial, what will be, of course, we'll have this new feature. Right now we have in our application, we can just have basic admin functionality complete. Like we can add a degree, but that's not enough. We should be able to add area of a study, which of course right now it doesn't exist. So that's why this is the error message from the Cassini server. Okay, and we'll be working on that feature next time. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching my videos and encouraging me to record more videos. Adios until next time.